Hey everybody, I'm Bob Baker with Jazz Guitar Today. Man, I've said that thousands of times, it seems like.
I'll bet.
And we're here with Bobby Broom. And we're here to discuss a project that's come out just recently, about 2 weeks ago. Is that right?
Maybe a little more than that. Maybe about 6 weeks, something like that. Yeah, about a month ago.
Well,
Oh,
it's with the Chicago Jazz Orchestra, and
right.
it's a tribute to Wes Montgomery. And I gotta tell you, Bobby, well, first of all, let me just say this, that you are one talented guy. Um, I love your playing on this thing. I mean, I love
Thank you.
it's it's soulful. There's not a note out of place. I mean, it's all the things we talk about and very few people actually achieve. Um, it's you're a master of the guitar. You really are. Um, there's no wasted there's no wasted movement in your technique. All your notes are valuable.
Hmm.
Um, your rhythm and timing is tremendous. And when you decide to play ensemble, you play it flawlessly. It's just it's tremendous. You remind me of some people. Now you're your own guy, okay? I'm not saying you sound like him or you sound like him, but you've got some flavorings of Russell Malone, and you got some flavorings of obviously of Wes.
Mhm.
And some Grant Green because you get into some kind of bluesier stuff too, and it's just I rarely listen. I watch a lot. I watch a lot of YouTube videos of people playing because I've been saying I want to watch their technique. I want to see how they interact with the band.
Mhm.
Uh-oh, that's me leaving you a recording, by.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
your your playing is it's just tremendous, and I kind of lost my focus here a little bit, but
You're talking about watching YouTube videos
oh,
as
watch, yeah,
opposed to
I
listening.
watch people play more than listen to what they do. I don't listen to a lot. Everybody wants to send me their records. I don't have the time to sit and listen to everybody's stuff.
Mm, mm,
And but I listened to a lot of your latest record,
mhm,
and it's one track is better than the next. And what's
mm.
really interesting is, and people want to watch. I'm going to let you talk in a few minutes. I'm setting the bed for you now. Um, the if you watch the video of you with the orchestra,
Mm.
and those people are so good. I mean, they are. I mean, that's like I've never heard anybody better. I've never heard an
Yeah,
orchestra of that type better. I've never. I mean,
yeah,
it's tight as can be. Every instrument. I mean, it's tremendous. And
yeah.
you're there playing a archtop guitar like you'd be playing in a bar. And it's like I think I'd be pooping my pants. I mean, it's like what, and it sounds so good, and everybody's just doing their thing. Whoever recorded it did an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's really really good. So I'm done. I want you to tell us what this project is, how it came about, what's going on with it.
Yeah.
All the stuff. Tell us,
All the things.
give us the story of this project.
Well, about like 20 years ago, Jeff Lindbergh, the director of the CJO, the Chicago Jazz Orchestra, called me. They do. They're the oldest big band in the city, continuously running. They were founded in 1978. Jeff Lindbergh and another gentleman, who I didn't know, and I can't recall his name right now. But they founded the band in '78, and it was called the Jazz Members Big Band. And then at some point, the name changed to the Chicago Jazz Orchestra. So they do a concert series annually. They have subscribers and the whole thing, and bring in guest artists. Nicholas Payton has been. These are just the people that I recall. Ron Blake, Clark Clark Terry recorded with them, as did Cyril and me, the vocalist, and then Joshua Redman. They bring people in.
I'm
They
going to
do
help you
about
out. I'm going to help you out a little bit. Here's a list of the people that are your colleagues now. Quincy
okay.
Jones, Stevie
Oh,
Wonder, Herbie Hancock, Dizzy Gillespie, Louis Bellson, Nancy Wilson, Benny Golson, Ahmad Jamal. I mean, anybody ever heard of
yeah,
him in this list?
yeah,
Wycliffe
right,
Gordon, Freddie Cole, McCoy Tyner, Jack Jones. I mean, the list goes. I mean, the Joey DeFrancesco, R.I.P.
right, right,
Randy Brecker. I mean,
right,
this is the cream of the crop of doing what
right,
doing what you do.
right.
And I just want to say one other thing that their performances are in Symphony Hall, I guess.
No, they actually, I don't know that they have ever played Symphony Center in Chicago. They play various in the various theaters around, but
Yeah.
I don't think that they have.
Well, it's a
Well,
pretty a
hopefully this
pretty
will make a difference.
pretty impressive venue, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. So, they called me, we're thinking about doing this Wes Montgomery retrospective concert. Would you like to do it? Of course. Okay, so I collaborated with Jeff about really picked the material. I picked the songs, and he transcribed most of the recordings, most of the big band arrangements other than the ones that he could get, that he could purchase, the ones from Oliver Nelson and that kind of thing. So we did it. Then, mind you, this is what, 2004? And we did it at the Harold Washington Library. There's a theater in there. And it was well attended, and the concert went well. And I think everybody was surprised that I was able to memorize all those moving parts with I had no music in front of me.
I know.
It was,
I'm watching
it
this.
was
I'm going. You're playing
yeah.
the gig like it's down at Pasquale's Pizza Joint.
It's all in there. So I mean, mind you, I prepared, but obviously, so after the concert, Jeff says, "Wow, we should record. We should record this." And I said, "Yeah, that'd be great." And we actually even had a couple of meetings about it over the years. Maybe we met twice to talk about things. And, it was still kind of an idea. And then it just kind of fell by the wayside. And then a couple of years ago, he called me out of the blue. Now, I'd worked with the band. He would call me maybe once a year to do, in more recent years, they had a residency at the Green Mill. They had a residency at the Jazz Showcase, and they would just bring in local guests to do it. And he would call me to do one of those nights or days, afternoons. And we would do the book that we had created, the Wes Montgomery charts that we had created, and that was that. So anyway, a couple of years ago, he calls. He says, "We're ready to do it." And I said, "Ready to do what?" And he said, "The record." I'm like, "Come on, man! Don't tease me." If He's like, "No, no, no. We're actually we got funding. Blah blah blah." So we met again and we discussed. I think we did most of the same material.
Hmm.
We may have added a couple of new things. I didn't want to do like the obvious, like we did Road Song. We did, some West song. He
Well,
left a lot of
you did 4 on
classics.
6.
Yeah, we did
I
4 and 6.
did
We
West
did
Coast Blues. You did,
West Coast Blues and Fried Pies. Yeah, you got to kind of do some,
yeah,
but then there's like more and more. That's an album cut. That's no,
right.
yeah. So he says, yeah, we're going to add strings, which strings were on the concert, that original concert as well. So he's like, yeah, we're doing strings, and I said we got to have all new arrangements.
Oh wow.
We need all new arrangements. I don't want to do like, doing what they already did. So we have the band has two arrangers, Tom Garling and Charlie Harrison, that have worked with them for years. And then I had a guy in mind who's a Chicagoan. He's very prolific and very sought after in all kinds of fields, mainly in pop music and R&B. Great, great arranger, but he couldn't do it. So we targeted Alex Brown, and he was able to do it. And he's the one that did Dreamsville and Somewhere. You know, those epic
Oh yeah,
arrangements.
well, somewhere I was listening to that and I'm going, oh my God.
I know. The end of that is like the gates open. It's like a scene from the Roman Empire. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's astounding. I mean,
yeah. Good
Wes
word.
Wes would be smiling for
I
sure.
yeah, I hope so.
Oh,
I think so. I think
yeah,
so.
no,
But
you guys did him proud for sure.
yeah. So you know we I talked I kind of not kind of I kind of formulated the skeleton of the arrangements in the harmony and the forms.
Right.
You know, we're gonna go here, we're gonna go there, we're gonna modulate here, and then I just spoke with each arranger and sent them either audio or something, and with those notes, and said go, and then they came back with what you heard. Nothing was. It was just like, here's the thing, do your thing, and then they sent that back, and it was like, so
You know, I, I'm so I'm so impressed with those of us that played in bars and hotels and lounges and all that shit for all these years.
parlors, you
Parlor,
know.
yeah, you name it.
Somebody
Yeah,
was saying to me like play, oh yeah, playing in bars and stuff, and I said, you know, classical musicians played in. They didn't call them bars; they called them parlors.
right, yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah,
So
but
anyway,
but
I just
yeah, no, but I'm just saying if and like real musicians, played, and the amount of obvious respect for the material and and for you and for I mean
I know it does.
they
This
they
doesn't
paid
go
as much
unnoticed.
attention to that as if they were playing Brahms or Beethoven
Let me
or
tell you,
Bach or
when we
whoever.
when we did the session,
Yeah,
when the strings came in, well, we recorded everything. First of all, we recorded at a glorious studio, brand new studio. It's maybe a little over a year old now, but at the time it was maybe a year. No, not quite. Philharmonic Studios in Vernon Hills, which is a little the neighborhood suburb of Chicago.
right.
Right by the airport, the state of the art room, beautiful ceilings up to the wood and the
Yeah,
glass, the windows, and they have a Dolby room for mixing and just incredible, beautiful space. And so that was cool. Then the strings came. We recorded 10 songs in 2 days with the big band.
right.
That's a lot. Then the strings
That is a
came
lot.
the following day, and I think they were only booked for 4 hours,
Mm,
and we needed more time.
hmm.
And it's like, who's gonna? So one of the associates of the band said, I'll talk to him.
Right.
And they were so into it that they all agreed to stay.
Oh man.
Because they heard they were
Yeah,
into the music.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really obvious when you listen to it that everybody just played miraculously. I mean, and the attention to detail in the mix and the recording, it's just
That's thanks to Jeff Lindbergh
well,
and the engineer Freddie Brightberg, who is an iconic engineer who I didn't know of him, and
yeah,
he's from Chicago, born and raised, and still here, and has worked with everyone, like everyone in blues, and
yeah.
the staple singers, and just everyone.
It
And when I
surprises me.
looked at his resume, it was,
It surprises me not because it's superb.
you know,
It's really really good, and that. I got to tell you, I mean, I've done a little bit of it, I mean, a little easy bit, and I've been, in the studio when it was going down, when people really knew what they were doing.
Hmm.
And excuse my expression, but that shit ain't easy.
No.
And you got to know what you got to know. And by the way, when the downbeat, when everything starts, that clock is burning, and you better get
Yeah.
it, and you better get it
Yeah.
right. So not only are the players, I mean, the players, they're going to get it right because that's who they are, but they're expecting you as the on the other side of that, the recording engineers, and you got the
Yeah.
mics where they you got the I'm sorry, you got the mics where they need to be, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous thing. So the song list, your publicist was kind enough to send us an MP3, and actually I've got the wave files as well.
Oh, cool.
You want to just tell us what's on the project?
If I can remember. So we start. So somebody said, "You opening with Road Song?" And I say, "Yeah, because you got to hit them, and they'll know that." And no, it's the what you said. It's not like it goes downhill from there. and,
Not at
and
all.
and the cool thing to me is we did Boss City at the end,
Right.
which is very much like groove wise and tempo and everything. It's very similar to Road Song. So it was kind of like bookends,
Yeah.
different enough, but so anyway, and then we did see, I thought I was gonna
No, I've got them right here. Actually,
what the world needs now, right?
yeah. When I heard that, I loved it. So here's the track listing: Road Song, "What the World Need Now Is Love," 4 on 6, West Coast Blues, "Somewhere,"
Yeah,
"More, More, More, More," "Fried Pies," "Baubles, Bangles, and Beads," "Dreamsville," and "Boss City."
yeah,
And
yeah.
and it,
So,
and there's not a letdown track. Everything is
I,
like just
I
like
know,
it's
I know.
it's
And
ear
what
candy.
what the world needs now was cool because West didn't do some of these he didn't do in with a big band.
Right.
Or strings.
Hmm.
So like what the world needs now, I think was a quartet or one of those one of the Creed
Yeah.
Taylor A&M records ones, and yeah. So I just those are my songs, those 60s and
Oh
70s
yeah,
songs.
that's
Like
that's kind of what we all do, So
yeah,
I mean, when I say that's what we all do, I don't mean we all. I mean, so that's us, that's our
that's the
era. That's
soundtrack.
that's
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
that's what we're doing.
soundtrack.
Um,
So
so did you get? I mean, did you get more than one take? I mean, were you allowed to do more than one take, two takes?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was able to, like, I mean, yeah, you got to fix stuff, you got to clean up stuff, you got to
Yeah,
get it. It's a recording. It's not like, like I think of it like this. I've done live records.
yeah,
I've played a million gigs.
right.
Recording is different.
Well,
Recording is, it's
Scott
like,
Henderson. Scott Henderson said it great. Scott.
yeah, yeah.
Scott
If
said
you,
it great. He said, "Man," he said, "I'm making a movie. I'm not doing theater."
hmm hmm
And,
it's
and
like,
for those of us that mess in that world too, I go, yeah, I'm making a movie,
yeah,
and
there's a difference.
yeah,
And
and
so hopefully you're like Denzel Washington and you can do both.
well, yeah, and you can, you're not there with take 39,
No.
one or
And so
you,
that was the beauty of having the concert footage to say like, hey, just in case you wondered.
it was, yeah, I'm a big fan of concert footage and studio footage and seeing
Hmm.
people actually do it.
Hmm.
Huge, a huge fan of that because even if every track isn't in the video, you have enough frame of reference from watching
Yes.
two or three to understand what was going on, what was
R-
happening. You go, oh,
Right.
because if you're listening, I don't care who it is you're listening to. If you watch them, you watch them, you watch them. You can turn away and and finish making your sandwich, and
Yeah.
you got a
Yeah.
pretty good
But
visual picture of what's happening.
it's happening for real.
And I like to see the expressions on people's faces when they're doing it. I like to see the intensity. I mean, Jeff, I'm assuming I'm sorry, I don't know all these people, but Jeff
Mhm.
is also the conductor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean, I
Yeah.
mean, he's in it, man, all the way.
Yeah. Oh
100.
yeah. In the most understated way, you
Oh
know.
yeah,
It's beautiful.
I felt so good
Yeah.
for not only you, but for
Yeah.
jazz guitar.
Yeah.
That
Oh, that's yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, that much, that kind of respect was,
Yeah.
was put into play, and
Yeah.
the product is phenomenal.
Uh,
It's really phenomenal. Let me ask you a couple questions. Your guitar that you play is what?
it's the Dan Cane Top Chicagoan. You
Right.
know, Danny made that for me. Oh, was it, I don't know, 10 years ago? Not quite,
Just,
about eight,
yeah.
9 years ago. And, I went to see him to kind of just inquire and see if it
Right.
was something that I wanted to do, something that he wanted to do. And he watched me play my old Hofner, and he was like kind of measuring and like scoping and listening. And yeah, he did a fantastic job.
Oh,
It's like, that's
it's
you hear
so
it.
the pickup that's in it, is that the same one that came with it originally? I mean, is that
Well, he uses Kent Armstrong's,
yeah.
and I think he's got some different ones going now, but basically, yeah, he used
Well,
the
let
Kent.
me let me say something about that.
Yeah,
Ken Armstrong is still making pickups.
right, right,
Don't
yeah.
confuse that with the import ones that have
hmm
his name on it that come on some.
hmm
I,
No, and I'm sure those are the ones that Dan gets, are the ones that he makes.
yeah, I was gonna. I know that.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my guitars over here. I'll show you something here.
Mm.
So this guitar,
hmm
something a little bit. It's a Ryan
Thanks.
Thorell guitar,
Wow.
and this
Yeah.
pickup, Kent made this pickup 6 times
Wow.
until we got it right. And
Wow.
so
I
I have
appreciate.
tremendous amount of respect for him. I mean, he really, he's just a great winder, and
Yeah.
I want people to understand that you see a lot of guitars coming in that have his pickups. Well, he's got to make a living, so he's
Yeah.
licensed
Sure.
stuff, and I
Yep.
don't fault him for that. But if you're looking for the quality that you have on your guitar and it's in that guitar,
hmm
not in those
Right.
inexpensive pickups. They're
Right.
okay. They are. You get what you.
They are. They're okay. They're
But
better than most. I mean, I got a
yeah,
little beater Ibanez recently,
yeah,
and the pickup was a little bright. It wasn't like the one that the stock one.
right.
So I bought one of the Jazzy Joes,
Uh huh.
and it sounds great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and then I mean the guitar. So and the amplifier I noticed you're using that looks like a Hendrickson Fort.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
That's
had one
my
living with me for about 5 years when he first brought them up.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry. I gotta
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
shut this down. I don't know how to do it. People wanting to get home. This is a new phone and I haven't figured out how to make it go quiet yet. So
Mm,
I'll the old one had a little switch on it and that was it.
yeah.
So um I should be able to if I knew it better, I should be able to put it on silent mode and all that kind of stuff. So I
Mhm.
apologize for that.
That's all right.
So that's the Hendrickson Fort that you're using.
Yeah,
Uh,
love it.
do you? Oh, it's a great app. Do you use any of the tube? Do you turn
I
the
do use like just a little bit,
just a little
just a
bit
little.
to warm it up some? Yeah,
Yeah, just a little bit.
it's that yeah. Well, it sounds great. I mean, it sounds phenomenal. I mean, you just can't ask. And are you using round wounds or flat wounds? Or what gauge?
Flats, 13s,
Okay.
13 to 54, I believe.
Is the
Yeah.
action pretty low to the board?
Like as low as you can go without it buzzing.
Yeah, and
That's what my repair guy says.
flats are good at doing that. This guitar here is it's round wounds,
hmm
and
I can't do round wounds because they're squeaking,
I
and
can't.
I already am critical enough, self-critical enough. I don't need any
I
extra, any help.
I'm gonna put flats on this because I just can't. I'm just not good enough.
Ah,
I just
you
can't.
know, you
I just
know
can't.
the I've used, and people talk about these strings. I mean, at least people I talk to. DR. I've been using DR for 30 years,
Yeah.
and I love them. And there's this one that they make one called the Legend is the make. And when you put them up when they're new, they have a texture to them, almost
Yeah.
like they're a little gritty.
Yeah.
And I love that. And it buzzes a little, and then it picks up the wood and the grain, and you start getting this little bit of fuzziness. And yeah,
You know
yeah.
what? I like those kinds of picks. I came up with a pick a while back from a company that doesn't make their picks anymore, so I'm not going to give them publicity because they pissed me off.
Oh,
They quit making. It was a guy that I think likes to ride motorcycles, and he just decided to make picks, and he made
wow,
and then he got me totally addicted to this pick that he makes out of a wood from South America.
wow.
But it doesn't feel like wood; it feels like pick material.
And it doesn't wear?
No, that's the problem. But
Uh-huh.
it's like the way that it interacts with the guitar. It's like rosin on a string bow.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah,
got it's got a feel to it, and it's a real tactile kind of thing. And
yeah,
it's like playing. It's like you're playing a stringed instrument. And
right.
I love this thing. And I played. I said, "Man, this is it." I tried to get a hold of everybody to find me some. And there was one gentleman who was nice enough to send me. He had a couple, but they weren't that model.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You
and
know what I've been using for quite a while now, these blue chips.
oh yeah,
Yeah, and this ain't the one because
there's one right here.
I changed to a little custom one. I was using these TP50s,
Yeah,
but I changed to the one. See, these are a little more pointed, not very much. They're very blunt, and all the
right.
sides are uniform. But I changed to these. They're just called 50s, and they're kind of custom. He makes them for me and
I've
another
I've
person,
got I've
and
got
they're rounded a little
right.
bit more, so it gives me. I've been having some issues that I've had to deal
Yeah,
with my with my picking hand,
yep.
and so Buddy came over and he had, I guess he had these, and I played it. He's like, check this one out; it's a little bit different, and it was like, whoa, this is I can
Make it
do
work.
better, yeah. And so I was able to have, yeah. So
Oh,
they've been
I
sending
love them.
me.
I've got probably a dozen of them, like over there.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't lose them. Like, you usually lose picks, but at that price,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
So
magical that I don't lose them.
these are
Yeah.
these are wagons, which are getting harder and harder to get, and I buy them in white. And
Oh yeah.
I buy them in white so I can see them on the stage when I
Yeah.
drop them. Because
Yeah.
I have a
Yeah.
pick here. I hate to even tell you this, but this is a reused tortoise shell, real tortoise shell,
Yeah.
and
Uh-oh.
I don't endorse them. Okay.
Yeah.
But and this was stupid expensive at the time. A buddy of mine had a guy that had like ashtrays and stuff like that, and I don't even want to do that. I don't want to give
Yeah.
anybody any reason to buy one of these things. But if you drop that on the stage, it's
Forget
it's gone.
it.
And and and,
Forget
and they sound great and all that, but it's
it.
not. I don't like ethically. I can't really promote it. But even
Yeah.
the blue chip, I wish that he would. I lost a few of these along the way, and
Yeah.
they're expensive. I've
Yeah.
got one. It's this shape. It's the little jazz shape. I've got the big one, the TPL. I've got one
Mm.
that's just shape. It's 100 thick, and
Oh wow.
I think that thing cost me at the time. I thought I had money. I think it cost me like $75 for one pick.
Woo.
I wanted to try it and just see what it was,
Wow.
and I don't know what I don't do drugs, but I felt like I must have been the day I ordered that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, well, your tone sounds great. Of course, it's what did Chet Atkins once say when someone said, "Man, your guitar sounds great," and he says, "Oh yeah, well, how's it sound right now?" When he pointed over in the corner, and obviously it's you got to have these, man. You got to have these. You got to have this.
Yeah,
And
it's funny. I had what would have I had a little accident with the cane top years ago, and the seam was opening up,
yeah,
and so I had to take it to my guy Jeff Benj, and so he had it, and then I had a gig, and so I said, well, let me just because the Yamaha beater that I bought. I like the playability of it,
Right.
but you know, it's not okay. So I get to the gig, I'm playing, and everything's fine, you know, and but I'm just in my mind thinking this doesn't sound that good. Until then, I heard somebody, you know, did it with the phone, recorded it with the phone, and I heard it. I'm like, man, the guitar sounds okay.
You know, I'm gonna tell you something. You know, I believe this because I get into these discussions. Let's call them discussions. We don't want to call them
Yeah,
arguments. I
right.
get into these discussions about woods and finishes and
I
man,
know.
and and here's the deal. You know, the $500 guitar or the $5,000 guitar or the $50,000 guitar.
Hmm.
The lady in the third row don't know.
Right,
She don't.
right.
You know, you could
Yeah,
be playing. It doesn't matter. But you know.
you know.
And if the guitar inspires you to play,
Yes, yes,
it doesn't
yes.
matter if anybody else can hear it.
Right,
It doesn't. That
right.
doesn't matter. You know, if people say, "Well, you know, nobody, you can't tell you can't tell the difference between this one and that one, and the Squire Strat and the real Strat, and the custom shop Strat,
Okay,
and all, you know, all this crap." Okay, look, that's not the point.
right. Yeah,
That is
yeah,
not the point. The point is,
yeah.
how do you feel when you're playing this? I mean, we could use the metaphor or analogy of women. You know, I mean, but we
Let's
won't.
not.
We won't go there. How
Let's
does
not.
you know? Does you know? How do
Yeah,
you know when she gives you a hug and gives you a kiss? Is she the one? You know, is she the
right,
one? So,
right.
as Andre Segovia said, and for the women out there, it's the same thing. You know, just turn that around. You know, how does your man?
Or whatever your
Yeah,
inclination is.
whatever works. Yeah, I'm not. I wasn't trying to be anything
Yeah,
at all.
no, we were
But I'm
just
just
talking.
saying that you know it's an affair. You have a love
We
affair.
like women. It's okay.
It's a love affair with your instrument, and that's why you know people that buy guitars online. I'm not against that because commerce is a good thing. But man, you know, there's nothing like sitting down and playing that
Yeah,
guitar, and then you know you're
yeah.
like dating for that time.
Right,
And then
right.
you know, I think this is the one. I think this is,
Yeah.
you know, because I have bought guitars online, and I've had some really great ones, and I've had
Yeah,
some that
me
were
too.
okay. I've had
Yeah.
some really great ones, and so I'm not putting down anybody that does that. But the guitars that I've married,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, have been well, they're commissioned guitar, but that's a little different because you know your luthier is working with you. He knows what you want. You know,
Right. 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 Knows what he's hearing
yeah,
from you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It says so you know, my journey to this guitar, it was really like lifelong because when I was a kid, I didn't know, you know, wood from shellac. You know,
right.
it was just like whatever. Like just I was trying to figure out how to play. Barely knew. I mean, I could change the strings, and that's about it. Um, you know, which way do you turn the truss rod? Anyway, you know, that got better as I
Right.
got older. But you know, like my appreciation of you know the nuance
Right.
and the sounds that you can get from the different you know the different appointments or whatever different materials whatever that I had to come to realize that and I mean I started to hear it from other people who had fine you know
Right.
handcrafted guitars. I started to hear a difference.
Mhm.
And so the guitar was playing at the time. I said, you know what? I'm not getting. I mean, it satisfied me for many years.
Right.
But then at that point, I was like, you know what? I want more depth
Right.
in the sound of the note
Right.
coming from the instrument.
Right.
I want, you know, there's frequencies that I'm not hearing. There's just depth that I'm not
Right.
hearing that I want. And you know, and that's why I went to Dan, and boy, you know, when I play that guitar, I just sometimes shake my head like
That's the
this is
one.
it. This is it.
Well,
This is exactly what I was
it
looking for.
it you know the expression on your face when you're playing tells it all.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, if you watch yourself play, you go, Man, I'm having a little too much fun up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
This,
Yeah.
this is this is really really cool. Well, listen, let's get back to the record for a second. So
Yeah.
the record's out. It's available. It's called what?
More Amor. More
And
Amor,
that
a
title
tribute
came
to
from
Wes
what?
Montgomery. That came from the song
Yeah.
More Amor.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's available any streaming platform
Right.
you choose. And then physical CDs are only available via the CJO, the Chicago Jazz Orchestra website. Let me get that. I think it's chicagojazzorchestra.com, but let me double check so I can give the right
While you're
info.
doing that, so you're still teaching.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's your gig.
they can't, I
For
got
people
10.
that don't, for people that don't know, where are you holding court?
I'm at Northern Illinois University.
Right. You've been
Uh,
there for a long time.
this is my sixth year.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's yeah, I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
keep it.
I love my students and I love what we do and I love to see the growth. It must not be right. Not
All the
just
guys that I know, like Dave Stryker, who teaches at the universities, and Davey Mooney, and there's a whole Sean McGowan, all the guys that teach, they really really enjoy that
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
being
know,
able to talk
it,
about music all day long and share and have, enthusiastic students that were, hungry for, yeah,
well, I think
yeah,
I'll tell you something else that I think it's important. I have a
got it.
I mean, you are influencing the future of you and your colleagues are
Yeah,
influencing the future
yeah,
of
yeah,
American culture.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's a big deal as far as I'm concerned.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and,
It's
and
cjomusic.org.
all right.
CJO music, all one word, of course, .org.
Charlie,
So
Juliet, Oscar.
yeah, that's where the CD can be purchased physically. Also, it's going to be available on vinyl. And wait till you
Oh
hear it
wow.
on vinyl.
Wow.
It's, yeah, and it's perfect for vinyl. I've heard that I've got the test pressings.
Oh,
It's glorious. So that you can pre-order those at the CJO website. And then again, stream it wherever, Apple Music,
you know what
Amazon.
I don't like about vinyl?
What's that?
I can't afford it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
To get the real rig,
Yeah,
because
well,
I've got a couple of friends that, I mean, they paid $5,000 for the cables.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm going,
yeah.
what? But I gotta
I, I,
say,
I played that, they have an audiophile show,
yeah,
sorry, convention
right,
here. It's exclusively in Chicago annually called the
right,
Axpona,
yeah.
Audio Expo, something, anyway, Axpona. And boy, those people, they're into it.
Well, it's really funny, and I'll tell you a story. I think I may have said this once before on the program on the show, but the engineers that make these records don't know what the hell those guys are talking about. They really don't. They really, really don't. I mean, I read a review because I was in pro audio for 30 years, and I
Hmm.
spent a lot of time with studio guys and all of that,
Okay,
and
okay,
play and selling studio recording equipment at a very high level,
okay.
and well, at a pretty high level. Anyway, so I went to it froze up there. So I went to Opryland one time.
Hmm.
And I represented Crown International, the people that make the amp.
Yeah.
Back in
Hmm.
the day, that was the shit. I mean, that was I worked with those people for 18 years. I was an independent manufacturer's rep with Crown.
Uh-huh.
And they had an amplifier called the Delta Omega. And the Delta Omega had a circuit that looked at the input of the amplifier, looked at the readings from the back EMF of the loudspeaker, and then they did a correction thing. So it's like, so I'm meeting with Hugh Hickerson at the Grand Ole Opry, who was he was the chief engineer of the whole place. I mean, he was the guy. He was the typical guy that, like, came to work in overalls you know, like with a chew, with a,
Right.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
and his propeller spun so fast. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy was a genius. He's brilliant. I think I don't know if he was still alive. I just don't know.
Yeah.
But people in Nashville, when they hear this, they'll know him.
Yeah.
So there I am with this guy. I'm just some dude, you know. I mean, I'm repeating what people are telling me at this point in my career. And tell them it's this. Okay, hey, it's this. And they go, well, is it really that or is it this? And I go, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
So
really that.
I'm giving I'm giving you the spiel that I was just starting to allude to with you, right? And I'm feeling proud of myself. I got my suit on, I got my tie on. I'm this is 25 years ago, maybe.
Right.
So Hugh looks at me, he's got that down home country thing, like Sam Urban was the politician that I'm just a poor old farmer from North Carolina. I'm not so sure I understand what y'all talking about. Well, the guy went to
Yeah.
Harvard and he was
Uh,
genius.
uh, uh,
Anyway, so
uh,
he says to me, he says, son, and I was in my 30s at the time, I think late 30s.
right.
He says, son, I've been in this town a long time, and I know every recording engineer that recorded every record that you've ever listened to that come out of Nashville. I know every artist personally that ever recorded every song you ever heard of that ever came out of Nashville. I know every record executive that made choices on. I just know them all. I know every one of them, and I'm gonna tell you something, son. There ain't one of them that knows what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know if he used the F word or not, but when he said it, there ain't one of them knows what you're talking about. So what he's saying is, look, that maybe I'll find it. We don't need that.
Mhm.
And I just, you know what? I looked at him, he looked at me, and he knew he had me.
Yeah,
I remember,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
And I
That's
just said, Hugh, it's been such a pleasure to meet you. I packed up my stuff and left.
yeah,
And that was
yeah.
right there in the control room of the Grand Ole Opry, and it was
Right.
pretty new at the time, actually.
Yeah,
Anyway, listen, man, I wish you all the luck on this recording. I hope you guys
yeah,
get to perform it a whole lot, and I hope that
me
it
too.
sells a jillion and you do whatever it is, number two.
But
What an honor that you were asked to do it.
I know, I know.
But I got to tell you, man,
Had my moments listening to it, and all the feelings and the tears and like, yeah,
I'm saying this, man,
been
this
through
is,
it
this
all.
is God's truth. I can't think of anybody that would have done it better.
Mm,
And I don't know. There's only a few people that I think that would have done it as well.
mm,
Unfortunately, one of them passed
thank
in the
you.
last year or so. Russell would have done a great
Yeah,
job with that, I'm sure. But Bobby, I mean, you killed it, man. You absolutely
thank you.
killed it. And
Like it was fun. It was fun. It was like, you know, playing with all of that beauty amidst all of that beauty, you know,
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
heaven.
I don't even know where to go. I mean, if I was a wine
Heaven.
drinker, I'd be opening up the big bottle, and I mean, I really don't know where to go with that. I mean, it's really great. And I'm so fortunate to sit here because people say, "Well, Bobby, Bob, I'm Bob, you're Bob." Bob, you were talking about that with Dave Stryker's project, which I believe Dave Stryker's
Mhm.
project is phenomenal. Davey Mooney's project is phenomenal. It's so cool. This is an era that is really got some really cool things going on. And this, like when Wes made a record, he was out to make money. I mean that was he was making records to make money. That was
Well, I think the producers and the record company were really more than him.
well,
I think that I think Wes just loved music.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that it was
He
it,
could find, he
the
could
whole
find.
project was a commercial venture.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Now let
But
me put it
he
that way.
could find the music in,
Right.
like, he was part of the music, so he
Right.
didn't really care.
Yeah.
I don't think, of course, I'm
I
speaking,
misspoke. What I was trying to say is that it
but
was
you know what I mean.
from producers and everybody involved, the record label, it was a commercial venture. The whole idea for somebody was to make money with it. But this project is labor of love for everybody. I mean, I don't think
Yes, and I'm thinking really don't want 8, 9 minute songs.
Right.
Radio's not gonna,
No.
I mean, maybe they would, but
Well, the guy's got to go to the bathroom sometimes.
I'm thinking, like, I'm also thinking about, when like putting music together, I'm just thinking like a music fan, a music lover, which I began that way and
Yeah.
I still am, rather than a musician per
Right.
se,
But you can put this record on at a party,
yeah, background, foreground,
background, and
whatever.
people are gonna be digging it,
Yep.
you know.
What's
Or
that?
or, or you can sit with the headphones on and really
Go
dive.
somewhere.
So
Yeah.
and there's a lot of music you can't do that with. You
Yeah.
can't, it doesn't have that. It doesn't. You just can't do it. I don't want to name names and talk about projects, and there's some great stuff that you have to dial into it because it'll drive you crazy if you try to walk around and
So it's like what your Nashville mentor, I'll call him that, what your Nashville friend said, and it's kind of what I try to impart to students is that, okay, we're in the improv class or we're in lessons and we're talking all this theory and all these conceptual things and blah, 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 blah. But then when it's time to play, you're using that as material. That's your palette. You have to get
right,
these things together. You have to understand them. But when you play, please don't play from that standpoint where you've got to like regurgitate everything all over everyone because you know it and you're so smart. No one cares in the audience. No one cares about your melodic minor modes. Nobody cares.
I can't tell you how many times I've said, "Boy, that guy just played everything he knows."
Everything
E-
in the first chorus.
Every solo has got everything he knows in it. There's no,
And
and sometimes just is all you need.
yep,
And
yep. So I mean, it's kind of like how I think about making music, or if I'm making a record, how I think about that. Programming, the blah, just the details. Devil's in the details. So anyway, I don't know how
well,
we went.
here's the deal. The deal is this: whatever you're doing, however you think about it, it's working for me, brother. So
Appreciate it.
that's all I got to say.
Appreciate
Uh,
it. I
Thanks,
appreciate you
Bobby,
taking
for,
the
for
time
for
to
doing
talk.
this. I really do appreciate it. So um, we'll look forward to always keep us posted. I love it that you call me up and say, "Hey, man, I got something cool." I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know that I when I see that you on the phone, I go, "Oh, Bobby's got."
yeah, yeah,
You don't have
yeah,
to have something cool. You can just call up and say hi.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
What I'm
yeah,
saying is, you got, so thank you for giving us the call, and we really do
yeah,
appreciate it. I'm
yeah.
Bob Baker for Jazz Guitar Today with the maestro, the one and only Bobby Broom, talking about his new record, which is called.
Or Amor.
So if you like this content, please subscribe, share, like, follow, tell all your friends. It help us grow this community. We've been going, I think we're in our seventh year now. Who would have believed that?
Good.
And and it's getting stronger than ever. Unfortunately, I had to take a year off because I wasn't healthy for a little while, but as you can see, I'm back.
Mm,
Ladies and gentlemen,
there you go.
Bobby Broom.
All
Take care,
right. All
Bobby.
right,
Thanks,
Bobby.
man.
Thank you.
All right, bye bye now.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right.